Well, I studied theology at university, and for my undergrad dissertation I wrote about biblical law and movements that wanted to apply biblical law to society, particularly in America. When I encountered the Jubilee Centre, I was really excited about the kind of prospect of an organisation that's UK-based that does this kind of thinking, and I thought that relational thinking was a really fascinating way of approaching biblical law and its applications to society. So I wanted to come spend time kind of going deeper into that kind of sort of topic and thinking about it in more detail. I think it just kind of helped me see with a kind of renewed clarity just how much the Bible speaks into every aspect of life, like not just the personal but also the political, and it speaks to economics and to education and to welfare. Topics like education and welfare in particular were, even in the previous study that I'd done, not really areas I'd spent much time on, so things like that were really fascinating. It was just a fascinating experience to really go deep into the life of one individual. Like you said, I studied Keir Hardie, and it was almost over the course of that couple of months he became like a friend to me. Like, I felt like I knew about this guy in such detail, and like we'd almost have been able to like articulate on a whole host of topics, like what would he have said about this, which I thought was really interesting. It was also quite interesting that, Hardie, being very much a Christian socialist, comes from a different point of view to my point of view on biblical law, to kind of see, to kind of go more into that sort of tradition, which was not really an area I'd spent a lot of time reading into, was really interesting and quite challenging at times. It was just thinking about the issues in a different way. I think it was just, like you say, it was just the variety of kind of learning how to like take all the sort of raw material that you've got and kind of look at the different ways that you can communicate that, whether that be long form or a much more kind of shorter and more pointed piece of writing. I think the presentations in particular were a challenge for me. That's not something that I usually take very well to. It's something that makes me quite nervous, but I think I surprised myself with how well it went. I think just kind of seeing like there really is no divide between what God's word says in any other aspect of my life. It can speak into how I think about how I vote, how I think about how I use my money, how I think about like where I might choose to send my kids to school, things like that. I'd say take the opportunity. Like it's intense, it's challenging, and it will stretch you, but it really will help you to think in a new way about Christian public engagement.